We're going to talk about what now appears to be new UK government policy towards the United States. If you thought that decision to invite President Trump to make his historic, unprecedented second state visit to the UK, how many times did we hear that phrase? If you thought that was the last royal card the Prime Minister had in his arsenal to try and avoid confrontation with a mercurial, unreliable ally in the White House, well, it turns out we're going to be playing a very similar hand again next year. No, not a third state visit. At least that's not yet on the cards. But we do already know that the King is going to be visiting America in April. What we learnt today is that the Queen will be accompanying him to celebrate America's 250th birthday year, and also perhaps to try and find a way of helping to cement that oh-so-elusive trade deal between Britain and the United States. But that's not all. Prince William is going to travel to the US for the World Cup, a trip that could also take him to Canada and Mexico as well. The Times reports today that there is thought being given to making sure that the heir to the throne is in Washington, D.C. next July the 4th for the big 250th birthday itself, which will see, as the great Alastair Cook warned his audience back in 1976, when he was speaking of preparations for the bicentennial, a patriotic nightmare of celebration. So is this now really the plan? Just every year we're going to come up with reasons for Trump to rub shoulders with the royals in a bid to stave off his worst instincts, try maybe to get a trade deal, make sure that he doesn't savage us. What are we going to do in 2027? I mean, are we then going to offer a third state visit? Is that possible? Presumably not, but what will be on the cards after this array, this royal trifecta, is sent to the United States during 2026 to try and keep the American president at bay? It still seems to me that at the end of the day, confrontation is going to be unavoidable, and even the royal shield won't protect number 10 from it. But you've at least got to give number 10 respect for giving it more of an opportunity, giving it more of an effort to kind of throw members of the royal family and the most senior members of the royal family at the United States in 2026 in a bid to try and condition the future of the bilateral relationship. Let me tell you if you think it's a smart strategy by the government. Do we think that this is essentially going to buy Donald Trump off? Is it going simply to delay confrontation between number 10 and the White House? And I wonder how the members of the royal family feel about now being used really to provide something of a fig leaf, something of a shield between the government in London and the White House and its current occupant. Sophie texted in to say, I think Sir Sadiq Khan should accompany Charles and Camilla as an added bonus for Trump. I've got a sneaking suspicion that is not going to happen. But do you think this is a sensible use of the royal family? Do you think that it makes political sense for Keir Starmer to try to avoid, again for another year, confrontation with President Trump on a whole variety of issues, and actually, once again, to use the royal family as standard bearers, quite literally, for the UK in the Prime Minister's efforts to get that trade deal negotiated to advance the cause of what we all used to call the special relationship, although I think it's probably not any longer an apt phrase to describe the bilateral ties between Washington, D.C. and London. Or do you think that the royal family are basically being used as raw meat just to try and pacify the President of the United States, and that at a certain point our capacity to carry on playing the royal card is going to expire? Very interested to hear your views on whether this move to deploy the foremost senior members of the royal family, the current King and Queen, and Prince William and Catherine, of course, the future King and Queen, to the United States. They won't be there simultaneously, but they will be there in rapid succession during the first half of 2026, which of course is America's 250th birthday. And as in 1976, the bicentennial, America's 200th birthday, many of our listeners may remember the visit to the United States by the Queen Elizabeth II, and Prince Philip, which was massive headline news all over America. A complete fascination with the royal family at the time that I think may be more nuanced these days than it was back in 1976 when they first visited.